Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're finished with the first map, first game here of Gen.G versus SANDBOX Gaming. Looked good for SANDBOX for quite a while in the early game. This was a very messy game. I think a lot of mistakes on both sides led us kind of to the end of this one, but it was fun to cast, fun to watch, but I'm excited to see cleaner League of Legends for Game 2.
It feels like kind of 9 people had their headless chicken moment at some point in game number 1, and Ruler just waited for his moment and killed everyone. Ruler was by far...
He never had that moment.
No, he was just the best player on the Rift by far. He was fantastic in this game. You know, he had his moments 1v9 in the last couple of years, and we wondered if Peanut could be the bridge for Ruler's ability to carry in the late game. Based on game number 1, the answer would be no. I think there's still work to be done. Peanut had a good early game, but as a whole, the 5-man unit of Gen.G were kind of behind the 8 ball for the first 15 minutes or so in this particular game. Weiser was actually interrupted from stopping Lissandra from just ending the game straight up. That's a cool moment that we lost during the actual play. Ruler put out the most damage. Gen.G, still a lot of work to do on their early game, but if they can continue to integrate Peanut cleanly and actually set up that bridge, the late game insurance, big thumbs up. Feels like the safest payouts are from Ruler when it comes to 80 carries in Korea.
Yeah, I mean, from the laning phase to the mid phase, throughout the entire game, Ruler, you can just see the difference in 80 carry damage. It definitely tells a big story. I mean,
man,
I want to laugh, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, whoa, what the
like,
hell? Hollow looked so much better in their first matchup, but this game, not happy.
This might actually be the biggest differential when we include numbers less than 30,000. Like 27,000 damage, like standard Ezreal damage basically every game. He's 21,000 damage ahead of the other 80 carry in 33 minutes. That is just a tier above and then some. And it sounds like, from what we're hearing, there might actually be the axe swung on the side of SANDBOX, because it sounds like Ghost is going to be coming in after Hollow just caught too many times napping on that Varus.
Yeah, honestly, after that performance, I think you take a seat and we see how you do next time around. Nothing against you, but definitely not the performance we were looking from Hollow. We are also going to have a sub here on the side of Gen.G. KeSPA out and Ro8 in. So definitely based on the early game, I would agree. And I'm excited to see what Ro8 has to bring to the table here on Gen.G now.
KeSPA misplayed trades in a matchup. He's known for winning, that Aatrox versus Urgot. So I like bringing in Ro8, who is higher on the solo queue ladder, a player who really has never gotten started when it comes to building a reputation at the pro level. But every time I would ask, you know, why is Ro8 still around? Why is Ro8 still there on the roster? In spite of struggling every year, I would hear again and again, this guy's a scrim god. This guy looks really good on carries. And then he'd play the tanks and be caught out, or his team would be too far behind. And we never saw it paid off. Very interesting to see him now on what has to be a better roster than what Kongdu Monster were able to muster the last few times out.
It's not only going to be Ghost, but also OnFleek makes his way into the jungle for the first time at KeSPA Cup 2018.
Wait, try again.
8 times!
Yeah! And OnFleek, this guy is a solo queue monster. We misidentified him as Jug King back when he was dominating in the promotion series. Turns out he just actually adjusts a few spots on solo queue down. He's ranked 6 as we speak at the moment, known for his Olaf carry games back at the promotion tournament. Right now he's popping off on Camille and his famous Jax in solo queue. They were sticking with what worked best in scrims and what won in the first round. The first loss that is suffered at the third time of asking by SANDBOX. We see the re-debut of OnFleek. This should be fun to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also excited to see what Ghost can do on a new team. Definitely did not impress me back in the day on BBQ, but now a new squad here on the side of LCK as well. Switching teams, and I want to see what he can do with a different support as well.
Isn't it a bit curious that they have Ghost and Totoro together? These guys are a pretty decent duo lane on BBQ Olivers in 2017. Ghost struggled without Totoro in 2018, and then not actually putting them together. Totoro, I believe, joined the roster very recently after looking for a team in the LEC after being dropped from Unicorns of Love. Ended up going back to an old faithful here. We'll probably see him play with Ghost at some point, but not for this game. They're going for the experienced Joker in game number 2.
Definitely has that SANDBOX feel to the duo, for sure. We are going to swap side. Oh, actually, we're not. Gen.G is still on blue. So, kind of interesting. We don't actually have a word on who picked which side, but they are going to say the same in terms of sides.
We do have a word on the global bans. Again, we've been told Nico and Xin Zhao are both globally banned. I guess the Xin Zhao global ban was maybe like, well, here it is, second time around.
Yeah.
See you, Xin Zhao. This is, of course, because in the BBQ Oliver series, first we saw a top lane Xin Zhao, which honestly, just seeing that locked in, maybe we should just disable the champion. Yeah. But actually, it's because he did a bajillion damage with his level 1 ultimate. He did 700 damage at level 1. So because of that bug, we don't know if it's for today or for the entire tournament. No Xin Zhao, no Nico, no Kali, Camille, Cassio from the side of Gen.G. A lot of the meta stuff banned, but Irelia and Aatrox this time are left open.
Yeah, and Irelia skipped over the last time around. I'm excited to see what Roach can do now on the Aatrox, assuming that he does play him up in the top side. They could try to go for some shenanigans and swap the Aatrox into mid, but don't think we've even seen that too much here in quite a while, so it does make sense. The Galio, this time not banned out. The Camille was banned out the first time or rather the Galio was banned out the first time. This time, Camille was banned and the Galio is picked first.
Very interested to see what Fly will play into the Galio. Assuming that we're going to see not the Aatrox flex over to that role. Kha'Zix joining him. Kha'Zix been the big jungle pick so far. In KeSPA Cup priority here higher than in the Demacia Cup Championship. So Kha'Zix really feels on A24B like the preeminent Korean jungler. Is a very aggressive option for OnFleet to try to exploit here. Not a lot of options to win skirmishes, and when it's been pick comp versus pick comp, the jungler has been the big unique variable that has really told the story of the jungle battle. Now we get a fun one here. Whichever champion gets in first wins in this matchup more often than not, so Peanut sticking with what he knows, sticking with the Lee Sin. And when it comes to that answer to the mid lane, it might just be looking for a farm lane with Fly on a very long mainstay of his champion pool, the Zoe.
Zoe returns, has eaten so many nerfs in 2018, and bans, I should say, but still a mainstay in League of Legends, even through all the patches since her release. Still quite a decent mid to high tier champion here in the mid lane.
And Gen.G are going to go 2 games in a row, picking their own champions, and if you see this Irelia, we're not 100% clear whether there might be some shenanigans swapping on the side of SANDBOX or whether the same will be true there as well. Irelia, a good matchup into the Zoe, but probably going to have to be this matchup against the Aatrox in top side, but still some things to discuss. SANDBOX have done some discussing. They will not leave Xayah Rakan open for Ruler and Life, and let's take a step back to appreciate that all 4 bans have been against the Gen.G bot lane so far by SANDBOX. They know which side the bread is buttered on.
What's it going to be next?
It has to be bot lane, because there's no
you
other lanes
took away,
to ban.
I suppose, Xayah Rakan. How about an Ezreal or some other kind of one? I guess Ezreal, Tom Kent, you can kind of eliminate that duo as well.
CoreJJ's still eating bans, even though he's not on the roster anymore. His Tom Kent is gone. Shout out to CoreJJ, and probably Gorilla as well, our big Tom Kent players in the past. SANDBOX Gaming, they tried blind picking the Varus, and to say it didn't go well would be an understatement. Where are they going to find power when it comes to a blind pick bot laner? Will it be support or AD carry? Counter-picking support didn't go so well in game number 1. They're going to try the same theory here for Joker again as Morgana's taken away, and now we're blind picking KeSPA as SANDBOX. This is surprising because Ezreal was still available, Valdez, and you'd have to imagine Ruler just says, tier list pick feels pretty good.
I mean, we've seen what Ezreal, or rather what Ruler can do on multiple different AD carries. Ezreal, definitely another one of those, and it seems like the obvious choice. I mean, there's some discussion still going on, but we've seen the damage charts on the new patch, and we've seen what Ezreals can do to try to carry the game themselves. He is going to jump back onto the Ezreal. What will go into the bottom lane this time for Life? He looked good on the Rakan, very quick. The Gragas was banned out in game 1. Might as well pick up the Gragas this time.
And it wasn't a flex ban, it was a Gragas support ban in game number 1. It's left open, they're going to return to the Gragas. It does hurt the laning phase a little bit, but with KeSPA, you're not expecting to be super dominant laning from the side of SANDBOX. They look down all their options, they want to block some Paddle Stars and some Trouble Bubbles. Probably going to be Joker just jumping onto the Braum. Not a lot of mechanical sealing required on this pick. And then you look at SANDBOX's lineup and say, they've got the Galio, they've got a lot of agency for the Kha'Zix. If he starts getting going, Feast or Famine gameplay here, I think it's all about the Kha'Zix. in the early game here coming from SANDBOX. Obviously in the late game, they'll want to fall back onto the KeSPA. But meanwhile for Gen.G, they've got some good pick options around the level 6 mark when Lee Sin gets his kick going, but they'll largely be around just how much they exploit out-rotating and grouping with things like the Mountain Drake or the Baron buff and the siege that Zoe and Ezreal are so apt to provide.
Excited to see if Von Fleet can come in and carry his team once again like he did so well in the promotion series that we had. Also Ghost making his return here on the new team onto a very mechanically high ceiling champion in the KeSPA. Bunch of pressure on him to show up after his fellow AD carry, Hollow, basically just fell apart and, you know, laid a big one essentially. So Ghost got to come in here and turn up the heat, I suppose.
And the heat is on the top lane as well. Cuvée out Roach in for game number 2 and a skill matchup against the Aurelia, like Aatrox early and then Aurelia after the first item comes in. So let's see how Peanut adjusts his pathing. In the early game, much more active was the jungler on the side of SANDBOX. This time we'll see if Peanut will adjust things or if he'll just call his lanes to hang back and farm up that level 6 ultimate on the Lee Sin again.
Yeah, so we should be getting into that interview in just a moment here, this time with the SANDBOX coach. It was always funny in the promotion tournaments where we had all those interviews. We kind of made fun of just how tall basically everybody on the side of SANDBOX is. And we'll see if we're talking with the same guy. Looks like we are. Let's hear what he has to say about pick and ban.
안녕하세요. 자, 샌드박스 게이밍 입장에서는 미리 치르는 LCK 데뷔전이라고 할 수 있는 젠지 e스포츠와의
In terms of SANDBOX, it's a preview of the LCK. After the first set,
네.
어떤 얘기를 좀 해주셨나요?
I saw you have a conversation with all of the players on your team. What kind of conversations did you have? Said overall our gameplay was okay, but overall it was definitely a bit disappointing. But I just tried to encourage them going into game 2.
동부 선수 라이즈로 슈퍼플레이도 나왔는데 마지막 흐름이 어떤 부분이 좀 아쉬우셨나요?
Dove had some super plays as the Rise.
재혁이 형이 너무 강해서 재혁이 형을 잡았어요.
And the other players showed some good plays around top and mid specifically.
끝나지 않았나 생각됩니다.
두 번째 세트 확실히 샌드박스 게이밍 변화를 꽤 하신 것 같습니다. 일단 정글과 원딜을
We just couldn't
교체하셨고요.
control one good player on the side of Gen.G. So once we couldn't deal with him, Ruler, by the way,
두 번째 세트 어떤 변화를 좀 꾀하고 계신가요?
not much we could do.
일단은 고스 선수 같은 경우에는 외부 평가에 비해서
So you recruited Ghost
하기 때문에
into the lineup.
을 꾀하기 위해서 정글과 원딜에 좀 변화를 줬다고 생각합니다.
I think Ghost is a bit underrated.
픽밴을 살펴보면
I think he's a much better player than what other people think about him and what they say. So I'm offering him a chance here on SANDBOX Gaming.
저희가 딱히 한 가지 조합만
several players that have changed.
다양한 조합을 연습하기 때문에 그 다양한 연습의 결과가 또 다른 배는 똑같지만 픽이
But I've
다른
never
결과를
seen you change all the champions as well. He says, well, we always try to mix up the champion composition and the players if necessary. Talking about going from game 1 to game 2, of course, the subs coming in and stuff like that. New composition, new chance at life here in this best of 3. They have to win this one to bring it to game 3.
New look Gen.G as well. First game, conditional pass, but it was kind of a B-, right, at best.
Yeah.
From the side of Gen.G. They're going to want to put in a better performance here. We already mentioned at the start of the day, winner plays KT Rolster in a best of 3, and that will be the new KT lineup. The KT lineup that came together really late, so I imagine their practice as 5 is going to be pretty minimal. They only settled on their AD carry, what, 10 days, 2 weeks
Something
ago
like that, yeah.
at maximum with Sketch, now Gango coming in at AD carry to join Snowflower on the bot side. Cool to see Snowflower back after a stint in the TCL, which really seemed to increase his reputation despite being pretty good on Jin Air and previously the Afrika Freaks. It's the top side of the map for KT. Can that trio on paper, and just a measurably talented trio, you can't get much better than Smeb, Score, and BDD. That is ultra talent on the top side.
It's really hard, so they have to win this game and then go on to KT. We'll see which one of these teams is going to do exactly that as we jump into game 2. Same sides this time around. Gen.G on the blue side, SANDBOX still on the red.
Gen.G going to be wanting to amp up their early game, because if you think about how SANDBOX win this game, Valdez, in my head, I feel like if I go to the post-game thread and see 1-0 for SANDBOX in this game, I know how it went, because it would be early game, the Kha'Zix getting ahead, then Aurelia just farming up a couple of items, and you have this issue where if Roach can't lane against the Aurelia, Zoe certainly has nowhere to lane. Zoe, the only champion of the 4 solo laners that has kind of no great fallback solo lane matchups, certainly doesn't want to be in top or bot lane. That's kind of how it goes, right? Kha'Zix gets fed, and then Zoe just gets exposed in a side lane. Is how things come together for SANDBOX victory. However, if they start to fall behind, if Kha'Zix dies a couple of times in the early game, the siege here from Gen.G probably couldn't be much more powerful in a duo than Zoe and Ezreal.
Definitely one of those win lane, win game kind of feels here for the side of Gen.G. I wonder if maybe Ruler can have a better time at just poking down waves if they're really behind. He also has the teleport to just side lane in an emergency situation. Not saying that it's the best feel for them.
If he has much better of a time than game number 1, then this is going to be a quick game for Gen.G, because he was popping off if you missed game number 1. Was the Ruler show, at least in the late game. Weiser and Roach. They're having a bit of a battle here, a bit of a chicken for who is going to actually show up first. The answer was Roach.
Who's the better Sungwon here in this match?
That's a deep one, but a great
Roach
one.
Roach or Weiser?
I love it.
I guess it was Weiser in the end. This Roach came out first.
We have to be really careful with lame jokes about Weiser's name, because none the wiser is the easiest reference ever here. We haven't used it yet, but we've thrown it out there, and we'll see who's guilty first.
You kind of made one of those. It was like a half joke towards Weiser in game 1. Maybe it was just so comfortable for you at this point that you don't even remember it.
See, I'm lucky as a caster,
out.
because if I ever have one of those groan-worthy jokes, I just point at my name and say, what did you expect? My nickname's Papa.
Daddy jokes. Oh, sorry, dad jokes. You don't like to be called daddy. You're the papa, right?
No comment.
All right. Okay, I like that. It's better to leave it at no comment in this case. Weiser kind of messing up his CS under turret. That's not a good look for him.
Fly much happier against the Kha'Zix, not expecting the level 2 gank that found him guilty of dying for first blood in game number 1, you'll remember. Dove on Galio, that we know is super high priority in this current meta. Was watching Faker stream yesterday, and at that point he had about 750 AP, and the Q explosion damage was doing 36% max health. You just hear numbers like that and it sounds bugged, but no, intentional. Don't think we're going to get to the 750 AP numbers, but who's to say we won't have a Titanic late game battle? They're few and far between, but when they happen, they can be pretty damn explosive.
That's the name of the game nowadays. Big trade up in the top side. Lots of minions going the way of the turret, but Weiser is going to be running straight into it. They want at least a flash. There it is, but the follow-up shouldn't be too hard here. Even Zoe getting in the way, but it doesn't matter. First blood given over to Peanut on Lee Sin.
No kill involvement there, but bot lane.
Okay, they get the slow here on a life, but in that case, much closer to the turret was Life, able to flash to safety, and Ghost even needing a lot of damage on the backside, looking good for Gen.G so far.
And we called for Peanut to amp up the aggression after farming out game number 1. He makes a very smart gank timing on the top side. The best part about this is that Peanut knew that the E was on cooldown. Weiser walks up and goes for a ward after he has his stun on cooldown. There's no disengaging here. And the only thing Gen.G are frustrated about is that the kill didn't go to the mid laner there, because then they would have had just the most perfect setup for that early gank.
Would have been much cooler too, but either way, Redemption not going to get it this time. Peanut still up towards the top. No flash this time on a Weiser. Nice bait so far. Peanut kind of getting blocked here by the minions. Teleport comes in, but look at the damage coming through. One more Q is going to finish him off, and Dove finishing the teleport. You can't cancel it anymore. Kind of awkward for him, just has to walk away.
I'm actually surprised that Gen.G disengaged so hard. Peanut flashed away from that one. I thought they would have been happy to just stick around, because I guess the only thing you can say is they didn't have vision of where Kha'Zix was. That was a kind of a defense-first flash after getting 2 kills already. But with full information, and like you mentioned, with no ability to cancel teleports, I think Dove was kind of second-guessing his action, but no second-guessing available anymore.
Once you click that button, you're in.
And that's probably just benefit of the doubt from Peanut of, well, if he's teleporting, Kha'Zix must be here.
Yeah.
We've got the full information, so maybe we shouldn't call out as hard, but with the full information, ended up being ultra defensive, but still, 2 kills to Peanut. He's definitely feasting on that Feast of Famine side of the coin. Pre-6, 2 successful ganks.
Yeah. And everybody's kind of scared of Galio now with his ridiculous numbers and just nuking people with full AP Galio. It's kind of early on in the game for that, but maybe some traumatic memories there from the side of Peanut. But no, I think it's definitely what you were talking about. You gotta always kind of show respect to where the enemy jungler is if you're not 100% sure about where he is.
Next level is definitely possible. Not every teleport user in the LCK is good at it. Just look at all those 80 carries trying to teleport in the summer season. It's bot lane, speaking of 80 carries.
Life doesn't have his flash anymore, trying to block that one. Joker has to flash away, but the kill will still go to the side of SANDBOX. Nice follow-up on the bottom side.
And that might also mean another early Ocean Drake. This one will be soloed down by OnFleek. Doesn't have Evolved Claws, doesn't even have his first evolution at level 5. Fly is walking down. Is he actually going to check this?
Things are coming
yes.
in. And the redemption again comes down. The TP's going to be committed to here by Joker, I suppose. So not much of a commitment there. But either way, they are going to secure the Ocean Drake on the bottom side. Goes to KeSPA. That's really going to help out in the top side too, where Irelia trading a lot up here up against Ro8.
The nice feel is that they got a 2v2 kill with a Unsealed Spellbook support, and then also got the Drake because he took that more utility-focused summoner. That's kind of a double whammy for the side. Let's watch how this happened. Life just walks up and can't body slam away because Joker is smartly just standing on top of the model, of course. Gragas stops the first unit that it passes through. Ends up being Joker. He goes down. That is the rookie mistakes you expect from a new 18-year-old support, just misplaying the 2v2.
Yeah, and it looks like Peanut, meanwhile, while we were watching that replay, goes in, steals the enemy red buff. Perhaps OnFleek looking to do some of the same as he's heading down towards the bottom side. Would be a unfortunate gank timing as the Kai'Sa's not even there, but how about red into the bottom side if Ruler and Life do hang around?
I'm most excited to track his evolutions here because I was watching Clid yesterday and I thought it would just be QE as the pretty standard first 2 evolutions, but Clid was going into the old W first evolve as a bit of a different look at things and not bothering with the claws. So the claws gives you a lot more single target damage. If you control bot side, I think you evolve claws just so you can solo down the Drake in half a second, but the amount of utility that the spotting and that vision lingering on the W in a meta with less wards makes a lot of sense why W might be preferred into the jump resets. Is also a very viable choice. We can see it's the claws, so going with the standard solo queue choice here is OnFleek.
He's looking for kills. Wants to get in there, do that damage. What is Kha'Zix if he's not damaged, especially after hitting level 6? We got Galio making his way down.
They know he's coming because he's spotted on awards. They know 4 members could be here very soon.
And it is Ezreal, so he just clears the wave essentially immediately and says, have a nice day. I'll be just fine and safe underneath my turret.
Wondered if SANDBOX going to do their best Jin impression and give up 4 kills in a 5v2. The Jin turret dive in game number 1 of their series last week kind of has to be seen to be believed.
Historic moment.
It was historic. We crowned it one of the worst 5 plays in Korean League of Legends history.
It's a big one. Definitely go ahead and check out the pod. Poor Jin man.
Well, they're playing in our second series, so maybe not all 5 rookies this time. Jin that pod didn't work out. Wiser, kind of stabilizing the lane, but he's a level down and doesn't have any real items yet, so I think Roach's still going to be pretty happy in the trades, but he's being very respectful for the Irelia that should only get better and better in the 1v1 as time goes on, and Roach puts a lot of respect into it, going for Resolve Tree in this game.
Away from that trade. Yeah, it's nice to see the Irelia taking 2 early kills and then still ahead in CS by a very small margin, but it's still something.
Still something, like you say. Jungle item already done, so a bit of a lead because of 2 kills to Peanut, but right now the vision control is pretty shallow on both sides. Once again, it's SANDBOX having more in the early game. Seems like Gen.G mainlining items rather than actually getting that vision down means at minimum a checkpoint here for the side of SANDBOX.
They want to give some of that gold over to the Kha'Zix too. OnFleek runs in, swipes at it, and runs out, but immediately Peanut at 10 minutes this time. As fast as you can do it, that's the best time to do the Rift Herald on this patch.
That's the first time we've seen camping of the spawn of Rift Herald, but he had already cleared out enough camps that he felt it was time to start doing that, trying to pay off his Warrior Enchant advantage. It's taking it, but OnFleek is already wanting to go investigate it, but he's going to do it at half health.
Yeah, fly 3 levels up on the enemy jungler here means that he's going to be chunking them out, and already this Rift Herald extremely low in smite range there, down at 1030. It's about the fastest I've ever seen it there, done by 1 person, so He's going to have that available for that extra gold in the early game. And why not go pick on Aurelia again? Looks like that's where he's going to be heading, but he's on a ward.
Peanut's playing on the strong side. They had top lane pushed in. They chunked out the enemy jungle as he walked up, so no contest available. Peanut being turned on, but this is tricky to pull off.
Will they go for the flash from forward? And there it is. The Aurelia ult into flash, and down he will go. Doesn't even need the Galio. Just there for moral support, and down he will go. 2 flashes to make that a play.
Man, everyone's done team building exercises with the trust falls. SANDBOX really trust each other, both instant flashing to just close the distance onto the Lee Sin, and the kick only means there's no escape route for Peanut. Mid lane fly, probably going to get away in this case, can just blow a summoner to get a bit more movement speed. But SANDBOX Gaming, I'm liking the synergy between people because I thought this was over, and OnFlick really wants it. Flashing on top, the double flash means no escape and the stun registering. Nice mechanics by Wise.
Looks really clean on that play, so definitely wanted to point that one out. And props to him. I mean, it's hard for a new player coming into the big stage for the second time now, and he gets camped by Peanut in his second game of this series. Definitely not the best feel. Notice that he does go for the Tiamat. Of course, he's not in the jungle, but a bit more expensive still. Here comes the Rift Herald to the top side.
It's going to go down. That's the checkpoint as well. We're only 12 minutes in, so that's 4 checkpoints down. A lot of gold in the pockets of Peanut and Roach on the top side. But actually killing this turret in the 1v1's probably not on the menu. And to your point about the Tiamat, it was always a luxury purchase in the jungle just to help you clear harder and potentially get the auto reset in on a gank, so it did balance. It was more on the clear side of kind of the clear and ganking side of the coin, but for top laners who abuse it, think Renekton, think Aurelia, still going to see plenty of it. Bot side.
Oh wow, they're engaging big time onto Ruler, but a huge cast gets Roach, or the Ghost in range. Wow, what a super play from Life there, turning that one on its head.
And that's why Ruler gets some criticism too, brazenly aggressive. Goes to Ghost there, I should say. Ghost gets the criticism. He really wanted the kill, but his ended up bopped by the enemy Gragas. Joker couldn't help him in that scenario. There's eating your wheat bix and really feeling powered up and motivated, and the motivation can't be questioned. The execution, ooh, a little bit off by Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, he went hard in the paint for sure, but really got to give credit to Life as well. We're going to miss that play up on the top side, but take a look at the cast.
He flashes over the cast to keep trying to kill Ruler, but the displacement just puts him under turret. You have to call that more of a mistake than a super play by the side of Gen.G.
Upon second look, yeah, definitely Ghost. Not sure about that one. And, well, looks like the Aatrox finally died in the top lane, too.
It's the play of someone trying to prove that they are LCKT, that they should be starting AD carry. Kind of the words we heard from the SANDBOX coach saying that Ghost is underrated. He certainly had his moments, but they were largely in 2017. And that feels like an extension, unfortunately, of the 2018 level of performances by Ghost.
We'll take a look at this as just TPing on top of Wiser with Ghost in range, or rather Galio in range, I should say. Doesn't go for the ultimate, just walks on in and says, I'll help you out.
Aatrox still has so many issues, like he did before, with the scenario where if he's disarmed or kited, even with his ult running, he has very little threat when his Q is on cooldown, no 40% CDR in the build just yet, so Aurelia has multiple tools to really stuff Aatrox's engage, and if those Qs aren't doing enough work, which with the Ninja Tabi already, it's going to become tricky and trickier. Things only get better and better when the Trinity Force is done for the Aurelia.
About a third of the way there. Extra dagger in there as well, but now SANDBOX looking at their second Ocean Drake. Also, a nice little denial away from the side of Gen.G. That first Drake always going to be super important, and we'll deny that one away from Gen.G. here. Nice little bit of extra regen. Peanut looking towards the mid lane, trying to see if he can find something against Dove, but no can do. He's going to start heading topside this time.
A flash onto Aurelia, ult on cooldown as well. This is one of the few times when maybe they can pull off a successful gank on this Aurelia. Doesn't want the minions to hit the turret, so nothing he's able to do there. Is seeing a lot of stuff happen on the map, in the mini-map as well. But here we go, we're focusing on top, and then back to mid lane.
Looks like the call was to come down and help Fly instead of actually go for the gank, so no can do. Peanut wasn't coming from behind and just kind of backed off of that one.
This map state is perfect for SANDBOX. They like the Aurelia versus Aatrox matchup when there's no jungler there. It's pretty decent, and even when the jungler comes, we already saw it's pretty hard to set up a gank on this Aurelia. And if they trade top side control for bot side control, hoo boy, Galio can come join in on the bot lane. There's no objectives spawning on the top side. So whenever you can have free roam for the Galio bot side by roaming down and threatening the hero's entrance, and there's no top side objective to match, Drake control, ganks the bot side, everything right now lining up for SANDBOX Gaming.
Now, if only they could get their bottom lane in order, that would be nice. Here we go, Peanut on Fleek, one-on-one, and up in the top side too, Roach versus Wiser. Peanut trying to turn it onto on Fleek, but goes way too deep. Is able to get the kick in, and the W will go wide. Oh boy, Peanut makes it out. Now Fly able to pick up a kill on the top side, but the Aatrox goes down. Will Peanut go in? The answer will be no. Turned into a 3-on-3 quick. It'll be 1-for-1 for now.
Good counter roam coming through from Fly. Spares the boss. It's looking like a really cool play where they got a CC and also a kill. But Fly assassinates the Kha'Zix in the bot lane because of the roam here, or a life-leaving lane. A lot of turret damage. Might get the first turret blood here.
Looks like
it. For it, they will.
Oh boy. Gonna be pretty easy for them as well. 500 split between the KeSPA and the Braum on the bottom side.
This play is really extended here. On Fleek is basically DPS'd out, but watch what happens on the top side. Wiser's held onto the ult, and then actually gets the knock-up onto Aatrox and looks for the kill. They almost take down Peanut. That would have been a next-level play. Fly's counter roam, the fact that Peanut lives on 100, does splare the blushes, could have been a 2-for-0 for SANDBOX.
Aatrox is being kited all day today. Kited, ignored. Just said, we're not going to fight you until your ultimate is down. That's the second time we've seen it here. But either way, I mean, that Aurelia, who ate 2 ganks in the early game, is now ahead by about 800 gold over the Aatrox in the top lane. Got to be feeling good if you're Wiser.
Seeing SANDBOX just give up on the bot lanes. They've already taken the turret and look to just amp up the pressure onto this Aatrox. The lane swap comes out. A CS discrepancy, but nothing really significant to talk about between the AD carries. Definitely a lot more comfortable than last game, where off-screen Hollow was down about 60 CS to Ruler. Being grouping in the mid lane here, we talked about the siege power of Gen.G, and even though it's not with a turret advantage, getting any incremental damage and making Galio more accountable by taking that mid lane turret is important. They're going to counter roam top side. Aurelia's TP is up, but how's this play going to look?
Might not be able to get there in time. Doesn't look like it, as Peanut just going to turn that one around. Still Wiser down in the bottom side alone, as Roach wasn't just there just yet. Still has, or he's near his TP as well. Might be important in the coming minutes here.
Here is Trinity Force as well to really start inflicting pain on this Aatrox. Galio's wave clear is down, but with the Proto Belt, does a lot of helping. And yeah, Fly's damage looking pretty good, Valdez.
He's Zoe, you know, that's just kind of what happens. And the Ezreal ultimate gonna fly wide.
That was half a Teemo away.
Real close one there.
He actually probably feels like he was hard done by here, Raw. That probably should have been a kill. It was so damn close.
Yeah.
Seems like Onfleek's camera wasn't centered because he didn't juke at all.
Yeah, and would have assumed that would have been a kill. Just that's the feeling that we get from Ezreal nowadays. If it's going to hit you, it's probably going to be a kill.
And some comms behind us. No booths here at the Aptos Arena. First time for the LCK, given that OG and SpoTV both had booths. The play calling seems to be all in service of the Drake spawn. I believe it's Infernal spawning in 20 seconds time. SANDBOX control the area, but control wards are coming. The recalls are coming. Gen.G's going to be late here, but freshly shopped to Ghost and Joker as well.
Trying to set up for this one, but one key ward sees everybody moving into those crucial brushes.
So Gen.G want to delay and take the mid lane turret from Galio. That's what they want here. See how much damage is loaded onto this Infernal. It's at 5,000 health. Ruler, he's going to teleport defensively. He is an AD carry, of course.
It's getting super low, and it looks like the smite will just go the direction of On Fleek. Will they try to turn onto Galio? That's going to be really hard to pull off. He's really tanky, but here we go on the backside. Joker Getting locked up, and in goes the big Aatrox. They're just going to burst him down, but the Zoe damage takes out on Fleek. But Weiser getting into the backline nearly takes out one, but can't quite do it. But in the end, Ghost will get the kill. Peanut as well, getting super low, but is able to hop away as he is the Lee Sin. But a close fight, 1-for-1 for now.
But more presents go in the way of SANDBOX on this Christmas Eve than go the way of Gen.G. That's everything there almost. Oh, exit kill there. Mistake by Joker, overrating his tankiness. Fi doesn't die on the back end, but overall SANDBOX trade up in a big way. We're going to get the replay very soon to go over this. It looked like Gen.G could buy some time around the Drake, but because their AD carry is teleporting in late, this is after they've already lost Infernal, and SANDBOX say, I'm happy to fight. We're not worried about Aatrox when we have the Aurelia, who in multiple ways can deal with the damage Aatrox pulls out. Weiser is close to a random triple kill, surfing around with the Blade Storm there. On the back end, they get a kill here. It could have just ended here and it would have been a big win to SANDBOX, but getting the exit kill on Braum feels really good if you're a Gen.G fan.
They really wanted that fight too. Joker flashed in for that one. Nonfleet kind of got unlucky in the blast power of Zoe, just hitting him in the face a little bit too much. Now we got a 2-on-1 in the bottom side. Roach not with his ultimate just yet. They're going to try to burst him down before that. Not going to go for any kind of flash play. Doesn't have it here, but still the 2-on-1 should be enough to take him out. Down he goes.
Really bizarre for Roach to be that far up with no turret behind him, no wards in the area. That is very poor map awareness. Sort of thing that a coach will rip their hair out. I don't have any hair to rip out anymore. And they're very, very frustrated.
Over.
Well, we'll see. It's mostly in the beard now as Joker just dies.
That's some good play-by-play. That's basically exactly what happened.
Well, I didn't want to use too much analysis of, oops, he was out of position.
I'd want to say Ezreal does hella damage. That's what the kids are saying nowadays.
Well, Aurelia does hella damage too. Stun goes wide as meanwhile.
Okay, well, OnFleek's going to die too. This is the second time where just to Zoe and Ezreal once again just gets bursted out of control, and all the teleports coming in. Can't cancel those now. Peanut really trying to force them into a fight. Can't quite seem to do it. Fly not able to land any kind of trouble bubble. Little stubby one there, not able to make it happen. But either way, they still do have that kill onto the jungler. They're going to turn to the Baron.
They're turning to Baron at 22 minutes. When will the face check come here? Plenty of Baron damage on the side of Gen.G. Joker walks up, still no ward over. They see it at 8,000. Right now, let's see where the turn comes. You know Gen.G want to turn.
They're going to turn here. Weiser. Okay, Braum ultimate comes out here. Weiser flying a little bit too close to the sun. Going to be brought in once again. Zoe nearly able to take him out. At the end of the day, so far, this is a good stop for the side of SANDBOX. Nobody being stopped in the way of SANDBOX. Nobody goes down, and the Baron will be stopped.
Level 14 Aurelia, tanky enough with the W to just disengage the play. OnFleek is getting popped left, right, and center by the Zoe, so they need to get a ward line down to make her a bit more accountable. No Baron claim just yet, no gold lead. 25 minutes almost in. It's a line ball game between SANDBOX Gaming and Gen.G. Watching the replay, OnFleek walks up. Let's see how this play started. Just wanted to help out with Ruler. The flash in is pretty brazen when he had vision of two members of the enemy. Wasn't even going to be isolated.
Yeah.
So the best case scenario there, Ruler was not going to die. Bit of a whoopsie here. We've had a couple of whoopsies from both teams in this particular set of games.
Well, he's got Smite. That battle isn't fair. This is not an Aatrox with Smite in the mid lane. Haven't seen one of those, but OnFleek himself too, just maybe a little bit rusty, I suppose. It's been a while since he's had to really be on point and ready to go, so we'll hope that he can turn this Kazakh's play around.
No one's really got a month of scrims behind them, barring maybe Dumb One Gaming and Griffin because of all the roster changes. So we're seeing a lot of solo queue moments where the Bloodlust just goes in and you want to get that kill. You want to prove that I should be the starting jungler. There's OnFleek, the Kazakh's draft, and Kazakh's been so powerful in this tournament, 4-1, I believe, when it's been selected. OnFleek needs to be so much more respectful. Certainly not Super Snowball in this game. Doesn't even have his finished serrated Dirk item at 25 minutes.
Kind of looking towards Ruler and Fly to really take off here soon. 2-0-3 for the both of them. And second tier already built for the Ezreal. We got a needlessly large rod for the side of the Zoe, who's going to be working towards that death cap third with 7 stacks on the Dark Seal. These guys are going to be really fed and doing some insane damage as the game goes along.
Gen.G on spawn, on top of the Inferno, look at SANDBOX. At the same time, they're not really doing anything, kind of happy footing around. They've given up bot side, now they fully understand it. The check comes in here, and I think Gen.G just assumed that Baron has been started. It hasn't. A freebie Inferno could be exactly what Gen.G need to get a foothold back in this game.
I love how much Fly is threatening on Fleek every single time. Roach going in, trying to stop Weiser there, but this is where this composition really loves to be. Trying to come from behind, though, here's Joker, but Weiser nearly dies. The cast thrown out into mid-air. Nothing but air there, and Joker's still looking for that angle.
It's this risky play with the Aurelia down, but here we go.
Here comes the Ghost, or rather the Galio right into the backside. Peanut super low, nice block there by Life, but Roach doesn't have his ultimate anymore. It's gonna be burst down. Here comes Weiser too, trying to get closer, but Ruler going 1v1. Fly able to do a nice amount of poke onto Weiser himself. They're still on the chase with all that poke they have. Will they catch anyone? Doesn't look like it.
Looked like it could be a team wipe there from SANDBOX, but because Aurelia was late to the picture, they can't finish it off. SANDBOX with a man advantage. Start up onto this Baron. They know there's no teleport on Roach, and they do Baron pretty damn quick, Valdez.
Oh boy, catches 2 of them, and that's that AP. Galio takes out the 2 of them just on the backside. Zoe trying her best, Fly not able to take him out. And essentially just 2 kills for free. They don't have to get the Baron. Ezreal ultimate will be blocked. It's a nice little step up here for SANDBOX, now 3,000 gold ahead.
I think Gen.G needed to be more respectful of the turn because you never finish Baron, even if you're in a guaranteed 5v4 against Zoe Ezreal. You're just praying to be taking so much poke damage. We watch the replay here, and as it goes on, appreciate how easy this would have been to clean up if Aurelia was there, because they all funnel down, and you think Blade Storm, or Blade Surge, I should say, resets would be coming in time and time again. Life controls a lot of space with the stasis. There's no further dive available for the melee champions on SANDBOX, but they kite up, and then the face check allows them to get 2 kills, but not quite the Baron.
Kind of an awkward moment there once again. I'll hold that thought though. Red Smite coming in. He wants to take out Roach, and it doesn't look like he just barely got his ultimate up. I was taking a look at that. On Fleek still looking for the kill here. One more key was gonna do it. But Peanut on the chase here. Should be easy cleanup, but okay. We got another one-on-one here. Galio versus the Lee Sin. Should be Galio 100% wide. There it is. The flash forward, and he's tanky enough to just stroll on out of there.
And this is what happens when your jungler can solo down the enemy top lane. This Aatrox's been exposed and then some. 2 members go down in the mid lane.
Okay, Joker in a bit of trouble, but oh, nice cast there. They do take him out in the end, and Weiser, unfortunately, can't really go 1v3. Ghost trying to help out, but not confident enough to go in just yet. Ghost in now, trying to go 1v2, but not enough. Ruler and Fly, both extremely fed at this point, are able to take him out.
We're just seeing strength tests across the map. People taking on each other in deathmatch-like fashion. Ruler, predictably, walks away unscathed, 4-0 and 4, a red buff to the benefit. The bot side went well for SANDBOX. The mid lane fight went well for Gen.G, and we back away, and somehow 30 minutes later, the story to get there is different, but yet the story for Gen.G is still, well, hopefully Ruler can do the carrying, because top lane certainly will not.
Top lane today for Gen.G. Well, there's no sparing their blushes, as you would say. And, well, this is a 3-on-3, but they burst Joker down before the fight even really starts.
And then Weiser gets no value out of his ult because he disarms Gragas and doesn't stun Ruler, so predictably Ruler just over the wall. Ezreal can always Q during the disarm effect, but in this case could do both, and that meant that basically all of Weiser's lead over his side lane opponent was irrelevant in that team fight. Can still show up with Trinity Force and a Titanic Hydra, but the setup continues. What I want the fans at home to appreciate is, like we talked about with the Zoe being unable to side lane, the scenarios where Gen.G win out against the enemy are scenarios like this, when they're in the mid lane with all the enemies showing, or when they have a vision advantage poking down the enemy. In basically every other scenario, basically whenever Aurelia or Kaz is in the side lane, Aatrox loses. In a 1-3-1, the side of Gen.G loses. Only when they can make it about the ARAM-like scenarios do Gen.G feel confident, and yet this game is still pretty easy.
Gen.G on the push, do take out that turret. Roach kind of just saying hello. There's a big push in the bottom side. Maybe could have gotten the turret on the back of that one. But oh, take a look at that Ezreal damage. There's a reason why he is so unbelievable right now. That was to a Braum, by the way.
You actually want to use the Braum Unbreakable after the Sleepy Trouble Bubble arms so that you block out either the Q or in that case the Ezreal ultimate. So he took full damage in that scenario from Ruler, who double tier in, probably going to be Seraph's Embrace evolution, I would guess in the next 3 minutes or so. He is going to be ultra hard to kill and could still carry the back end of a fight if SANDBOX have to invest too many resources to kill the Aatrox through his passive.
Best of 3 so far for Gen.G. Kind of feels like some gaping holes where we're not sure how they're going to fix those as the time comes along, but maybe if Cuvée kind of steps it up here and Fly can be a little bit more consistent. Doing very well in this game so far. We'll have to wait and see for future best of 3s, but the Baron is started, trying to get on top of that. We're only a third of the way through so far. Blocks out that Ezreal ultimate. Roach gets in the backside, nearly blows up that Kha'Zix. Is not going to be able to, at the end of the day, the cost nearly gets him there. Kha'Zix still going in, trying to get away from this one though. Galio himself getting super low. The Ignite might be able to just tick down. One more will do it. He's going to zone this at the right time, but Weiser disappears on the backside as well. And this one is going to be heavily favored to the side of Gen.G. Nowhere you're going, here goes all alone on the backside. He's going to be taken out as well. That's going to be an ace. Infernal into ace into Baron. Not half bad.
Perfect ace by Gen.G, bringing back the team fighting route. SANDBOX deep in enemy lines, but poked out and Ruler full health with no pressure on him. You saw that Weiser just decided, I need to all in here onto the Ezreal, otherwise he will kill everyone on the exit plan. There was no exit plan here. The Baron goes down, and that should be the game-winning fight for the side of Gen.G.
Yeah, just about as simple as that. We'll go over the replay now and see how this all started.
So OnFleek and Dove are setting up for a flank, but the moment the Trouble Bubble comes in, OnFleek is basically out of this fight, and look how much they have to invest just so OnFleek doesn't give a 1 for 0. By the time they're here and they have to eat poke from Zoe and Ezreal, there's no health bar on Galio or Kha'Zix, and Weiser says, if I don't stop Ruler, he'll kill everyone. He tried his best. It wasn't going to work, as Ruler has the Seraph's Embrace shield about 2 minutes ahead of schedule, and then it's just free kills on the back end. 5 for 0, and the Baron is about as emphatic a team fight victory as you can get in League of Legends.
Yeah, it didn't even look like he took damage with the shield, with how big it is, and poor Ghost. I mean, there wasn't really much room for a Kai'Sa to do anything in that fight. There's no way to get past the front line, especially when you have to eat all of that poke from the side of Fly and Ruler. So, kind of unfortunate for him. Hasn't really been able to show his stuff coming here into SANDBOX Gaming. But Gen.G, as you mentioned, now with the Baron, kind of just running away with this one.
Showing their class with the carries. Fly and Ruler both on point this game. And a counter move here. Remember, with their melees, have to hard commit in terms of positioning here, SANDBOX. Should be 2 turrets, though.
Yeah.
Gen.G, we talked about their formation. No formation can happen when you're out-rotated like that. They lose 2 turrets for free, but they've still got double Infernal. They've still got the Baron.
They still have poke, too. I mean, they might just not stop here. Braum forced the ultimate, but not going to save anyone here. Look at Ruler. He's just going 1v2. He doesn't care. If he had another E, he'd go for it.
Oh!
He's going to hit his ult, but he barely lives on the backside.
Got
but
him.
Peanut with the snipe. There you go.
4v5 as well. Aatrox going to get an inhibitor.
Yeah, no one to stop him. They're just stopping the backs at this point. Looks like Dove will be able to get one off, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be 2 inhibitors on the backside as Roach takes one out. The rest of the team takes the other one out, and they might just push to win.
Yeah, look for the end here. They have so much poke. Look at this.
Oh, it's unbelievable right now. Ruler himself coming out to carry, but now he's got a Zoe on the backside. They take out the Kai'Sa. She never even existed. Dove kind of tanky, and Weiser gets in there, but it's just not going to matter. They're way too far ahead. Galio not able to follow up, and it is going to be eventually, guys, the 2-0 victory. Going to the side. They're looking for another kill. Peanut being a little bit cheeky on the backside, but it doesn't look like they'll get anyone else. 2-0. A little bit messy, but Gen.G will move on to the second round of 8.
A lot of issues in the early game for Gen.G, but what we can say is when they get to their win conditions, when they know how to win, the way they were able to set up ways they win, and what was a pretty tricky game. We talked about how in many different scenarios, especially in the side lanes, this Aatrox is free food for even the enemy jungler, let alone the enemy top laner. However, it never became about the 1-3-1. It was Gen.G forcing mistakes out of SANDBOX around objectives and setting up scenarios where both the Zoe and the Ezreal could free fire under no threat. That is the sign of teamfight victories for a Zoe and Ezreal comp. No deaths on either Fly or Ruler. A really good sign for them. In the early game, I feel like the biggest takeaway for me, the biggest thing to work on, is the vision control for Gen.G early game, which is usually around jungle and support. You can see the loss of poor JJ and maybe even the experience of someone like Ambition in their vision control. The early game can be fixed. That's a lot of pre-planned strategies of, at this time, go in after your recall with your jungler. That still needs to be worked on, but the mid to late game is looking pretty damn good for Gen.G, and when they needed aggression, when they needed some creative plays, they found it.
That late game with Ruler, it's been around for quite a while.
He didn't die
kind of
the whole series.
Yeah, but I just mean for the team as well. It's kind of been their win condition for such a long time, and even though the team looks different, and I know they need a lot of time to kind of get their feet underneath them, it's kind of funny how things don't really change, and Ruler, once again, kind of being the carry.
Unfortunately for Gen.G fans looking for something new, it's still in Ruler we trust, and if Fly gets his champion, he can pop off. Unfortunately, we don't learn anything new. I think Peanut had a pretty good debut, but still needs to work on some of the synergy aspects, as expected, right? You can't expect too much there. We're not wagging any fingers, we're not judging anything. For a debut here, they do win 2-0, they take down an LCK team, and for SANDBOX, they probably don't come away with too much more information about who should be starting, because in this game you could tell On Fleek and Ghost both looked a bit rusty.
Yeah, you can see the coach going over to On Fleek after this one, just giving a little shoulder rub and saying, hey man, don't worry about it. I think it's pretty obvious to the side, especially when On Fleek went into the promotions and just carried them hardcore. You know, they know that he can do better than that. And we're going to have to give SANDBOX some time. They're not going to have much more experience here in the KeSPA Cup, but I hope they come into LCK a little bit better off, because they need to play better to have any impact in the newly very competitive LCK.
And we should talk about Life as well, another debuting player on the side of Gen.G. Ruler carry, so it lets you know that he wasn't letting down his lane mate too much. I think he made a couple of errors. It reminded me of Effort a couple of times, misjudging 2v2s, but Effort and Lahens were our new supports in 2018, and we saw both of them make similar mistakes. He'll be better for the run, but Ruler in Life, you know, Ruler will need to be the cornerstone of any sort of advance that Gen.G makes, and based on this evidence, to no one's surprise, he's still damn good.
Ooh, take a look at that. Fly gonna take #1 spot here, but it was an incredibly close race between the two players trying to go 1v9.
And I'm sure if you watch either of their streams, Fly will not let Ruler live this one down. Fly is a man of plenty words when he wins. He's on the winning side. He doesn't have a mid lane sub anymore. He doesn't have to worry about being replaced. And the player who was the most hard done by, you'd feel, of almost any player in the world to not go to Worlds after qualifying on Gen.G but being preferred in the 6-man roster was Ambition. Fly comes back in, and his Zoe deserves no consideration. It is still very, very powerful. His new picks, we'll have to wait on those.
So guys, we are going to go over to the interview with one player of Gen.G. I can only guess who they might have selected on the side. Okay, it's going to be Life. That actually surprised me. But either way, one of the debuting player here on Gen.G. You got a lot of attention from the fans. So how do you feel after the victory? He says, I didn't do much. All my teammates played really well. So I'm really glad that we won. So a lot of people were awaiting your official debut match. So a lot of people online saying you're showing great teamwork with Ruler so far. So especially your Rakan. He said, I picked Rakan because I like Rakan. Because I knew I could show a good performance. Obviously, you know, Zaya Rakan. So in the first one, it was very close, kind of a 50-50. Could have gone either way. He must have been a bit nervous. He's like, I kind of feel nervous all the time. The coach said that you seemed a little bit nervous, but that you said that you're not nervous. And he says, no, actually, I am nervous. Going back and forth here, guys. So your skill shotting is very good. Your targeting skills are very, very nice. So what about the shot calling in the team? It says everybody kind of shot calls on the side of Gen.G. Whoever, you know, sees the play. So you're the youngest player on the team. Who's the best older brother or Hyung here on the side of Gen.G? He says Fly especially. And he says, I guess Rulers, he's been a really great older brother who's taken care of me very well. And what about players that are giving you encouraging words so far? So he's not a very warm-hearted brother. I suppose they're talking about Rulers. Yeah, in terms of getting him ready for his debut match. So you must have, a big determination to show better performances in the future. What are you thinking? He says, I will try to reduce my nervousness for now on, and please continue watching my games and cheering me on. His play didn't look too nervous. A couple mistakes here and there, but I mean, it was his debut performance. Can't really blame him for that. He looked pretty good in his first game.
Gen.G outclassed SANDBOX Gaming 2-0. Probably doesn't fully reflect the point. This was not a 99-1 kind of series. It was not a domination. SANDBOX definitely had, probably 20 minutes across 2 games where they were ahead of Gen.G, and that's something to be praised from them. But that means they are gone from the KeSPA Cup. They will be back at LCK Spring 2019. That means KT Rolster versus Gen.G, the old enemies, in a match with plenty of history. Gen.G have been gate-kept away from that a couple of different times. Those 2 World Championships in 2016 and 2017, they were knocked out by Gen.G, are unforgettable. And speaking of unforgettable, Valdez, actually some important information actually got pinged by our producer. Big news on the side of Gen.G. Ambition on his personal stream has announced his retirement as a pro gamer. There was months in about 2012, 2011, where Ambition was the best mid laner in the world pre-Faker. So given that, it's actually, most people know him for his jungle play, but congratulations on a fantastic career to one of the real Hall of Famers of Korean League of Legends. The Rise video made in his memory, and honestly, to celebrate his career after Worlds, Ambition now retired. Shoutouts to him, and shoutouts to Gen.G, who will move forward in KeSPA Cup.
Yeah, nothing to really be sad about his career. He had so many achievements from beginning to end, and we'll all remember him. He's not gone, but he's retired, and I wish him all the best in the future. But either way, guys, we are going to move on to the next matchup after we do go to a bit of a
1 hour break.
Commercial break. It is going to be an hour from now. But before we get to that, how about some info about the rest of KeSPA Cup? The finals, guys, are going to be at the Sejong University Convention Hall. That will be on New Year's Eve, and we'll be casting.
A big stadium final on New Year's Eve. Sounds awesome. Looking forward to that one. But I'm more excited about just the matchup in 1 hour's time. It's not as big on paper, Ginervis, GC Busan, but both these teams picked up pretty comfortable victories in the first round of the KeSPA Cup. So even though it's LCK versus Challenger, this could be a really hard-fought 3-game series in a tournament that's been dominated by 2-0s.
Yeah, I think it should be the closest one we've had so far. I would have to agree with you. We haven't had too many 2-1s in these best of 3s, but should be one of those. So, guys, we'll see you in about an hour for that matchup. Stay tuned.
Get ready.